welcome to the Stone Age Gamer episode 17. My name is Chris Randazzo, and with me as always is Dean DeFalco.
Oh, hey.
Dan Ryan.
Good evening.
And Tiffany.
Hi.
I'm a little bit under the weather, which is probably why I sound a little nasal snotty. That's because I am. But we're going to push on through because, god damn it, we have a show to do. We're going to be doing, a regular what we've been playing segment. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back with some listener mail for the first time ever. Really, we mean it. That last time didn't count. This time we actually have questions, and we're going to read them, and we're going to do our darndest to answer them. So, first off, let's take a run around the room and see what everyone's been playing. So, Dan, what have you been up to?
Well, I haven't had too much time to play this week. I was up in Massachusetts for training. However, the free time that I have had has been spent with Destiny, which is really goddamn pretty. It's I'm not a Halo fan, right? I think we've established that on the show before. It's just not my thing. So when it was like, all right, Bungie's multi-platform now, and they've got a game coming out for PS4, and it kind of just looks like an evolution of Halo, I wasn't sure if I should get super excited for it, but I played the alpha and really liked it. It looked really good. So I bought the game, and it's really, really good. Peter Dinklage's voice acting does not bother me at all. Like, there's been a lot of flack online about him sounding a little robotic and uncaring in his performance, which I think is kind of weird because he's a robot in the game, and he sounds robotic. So to me, it works. And it's not like he's the only voice actor in the game. Bill Nye's in there. There's a couple other people that do a really good job. But I'm having a really good time with it. The multiplayer is really fun. The story missions are really fun. And it really does look absolutely incredible. Like, the moon missions are stunning. It's just, I mean, it's a great ball, but there's a lot of really cool stuff on it. And the textures are cool. The lighting is really cool. The shadow effects are really cool. It's just a really, really well done game.
So let me take a quick step back. Now, you said Bill Nighy, not Bill Nye, the science guy, right?
Yes.
That's a crushing disappointment.
It really is. Bill Nye, the science guy, really does need to be as a video game narrator one of these days. But no, Bill Nighy, the British actor.
Yeah, I can't be disappointed at that. Bill Nighy's awesome.
I don't know.
No, he is. He's great.
My interest in that just kind of dropped like 10%.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry to disappoint.
Is it making your PS4 purchase worthy? Like, is this the game that... one of the things that I've been hearing from most people who have the fancy schmancy new next-gen systems is this a real showcase for next-gen? Or is, say you have a 360 or a PS3, is that really going to be... Is that also going to be as good an experience as the next-gen ones?
I haven't been disappointed with the PS4 purchase. I'm not one of those guys who's been... Because I really think the heart of that argument is, are the graphics that much better than the last gen? Like, that's really where a lot of people tend to focus. And I think we're kind of hitting a point where, yes, games are going to look better, but they're not going to look so much... It's not going to be 8-bit to 16-bit, or even 16 to 32. So I get what the question is, and I think for a lot of people, yes, this would justify the purpose because there is a lot of stuff specifically for the PlayStation that just didn't happen on the PS3.
Now, do you think that's because of the power of the PlayStation 3 as opposed to the power of the PlayStation 4? See, the problem with this comes in, and we've noticed this in the last couple of console generations where they do multi-platform releases for the previous gen and the next gen. And what you really want at this point, because like you said, graphics have kind of reached this saturation point. And what I would look for is an experience that just simply could not be done on the previous generation's platform. And with Destiny being released on both consoles, it kind of makes me feel like that's not necessarily the case. So, I mean, are you getting something out of having this essentially, what the PlayStation 4 is, what, $300, $400 now? I don't know. $400 plus. So this is a $460 game for a lot of people. Is this worth it as opposed to just plunking down the cash to buy it on your PlayStation 3?
I really, honestly, I don't know. I don't know that I would go so far as to say this is the experience that you need to have in order to justify that purchase. I do think with the current gen versions, the Xbox One and the PS4, I think you are certainly going to get a smoother and more consistent experience in terms of frame rate and that sort of thing. But I'm not willing to go so far and say go out and drop $460. If you've got a PS3, I don't see why you wouldn't pick this up on PS3. I don't think it justifies that yet.
Interesting. But overall, you like
Yeah,
the
I mean, yeah, overall, it's one of those things where it's just a really, really solid experience. The story is kind of bare bones. Like, you can definitely tell that this game is building towards the next franchise, right? This is not just, oh, if this one does well, we'll do maybe another one. You know, this entire game is world building, right? This is just setting the story for the future games in the Destiny series to come out.
Well,
But even with that being the case, the gameplay experience itself is so polished and so solid that it's just really fun to run around this world and play in it.
Well, that's what I've heard, is that there's not much of a story. The game's primarily focused on the co-op aspects that you have, this sort of huge co-op MMO raids type deal. Is that really like the big focus on this? Is that this huge co-op thing where maybe that's, you know, a big strive for getting that type of stuff onto consoles? Because it's been on PCs for a while where there's all this, you know, crazy huge co-op 60 people on a server type deal fighting,
Right,
you know, one objective. Is that sort of the thing that they're going for here?
Yeah, that does happen. Like, while you're out doing your story missions, you will come across different things that will say, you know, like public event happening basically, and you can choose to either go partake in it or not. You can just continue on with your story. And when you go in, sometimes there's, you know, it appears to be like 60, you know, 50, 60 people kind of thing. There's a lot of fucking people on screen. Or so I've had a couple where I was playing late at night and there was like 10 people and you're all trying to get this objective done. So it does, I've never played an MMO, so I can't really speak to if it's a similar experience, but from what I've heard, from what I've heard, it is a relatively similar kind of thing. But once that's done, you jump right back into your story, which is kind of cool.
Okay. The other question is, does it have like a varying difficulty, whether, you know, there's 60 people? Does the boss get harder when there's 60 people versus when there's 10?
I don't know. I haven't gotten to that.
It doesn't really work like that. It's
Yeah.
You don't like fight a boss together per se. Like, you can help each other when there are like swarms of enemies coming. You can help each other in that you can all be shooting someone. But I think once you reach your objectives, you kind of drop out of the co-op, and the same thing happens to everybody for every objective.
Right. I guess what I was trying to say, does the difficulty scale up when there's more people?
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. I really don't. I haven't talked to too many people who have played the same experiences to see if it was harder for them or not, or easier.
It doesn't seem to be. It seems to be whether you walk into a cave that's got 10 guys in it, you either walk in by yourself and fight those 10 guys, or you walk in with 3 other guys and fight those 10 guys. Like, it seems to be the same thing.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious. I haven't picked it up yet myself, so I've kind of been kicking it around, seeing if it was worth $60 or not.
I would say it is. I mean, I think I've certainly gotten $60 out. Well, I've gotten 60 out of it yet, but I really think I will, by the time this is all said and done, will have gotten a $60 game out of it. But your mileage may vary, I suppose.
Okay, no, I was just curious, that's all. I mean, very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Dean, what have you been up to?
I picked up a game early last week called Speedrunners, and it is a competitive platformer. As odd as that sounds, yes, it is a competitive platformer. Basically what it is they stick 4 players online on the same level, and you have to get from point... Actually, it's basically like a closed circuit, so I guess you'd... equate it to a race, like on an actual racetrack. So you're going around this whole track, and you're trying to get ahead of the other 3 competitors by avoiding obstacles, throwing power-ups their way, stuff like that. So it's sort of like Mario Kart in the sense without the cart. It's these 4 brightly drawn characters that are racing against each other to see who can stay alive the longest. And it's really cool because the characters are like a man dressed in a very pink, bright unicorn outfit I believe he's called the Eunuch. There's another one called Commander Comrade, and he's all dressed up in like Soviet Union red. He's got a huge globe for a head, and it's got the Soviet Union emblem on his head, which is really cool. There's another guy called Gil, and it's a guy in a shark suit. And when he jumps, like, he sort of dives instead of, like, sliding under stuff. It's really cool. But, yeah, the main pull of the game is just I haven't played anything like it before, and it was really, really cool. I saw it on YouTube a few days ago, and it's in its beta stages. But they released it out to the public, so I guess they can, sort of crowdfund and, gain some money as they go along just by charging for beta testing, more or less, which seems the going trend lately. And, if you guys are interested, you can always just go on YouTube and check it out for yourselves. But it's really, really cool. I've been having a lot of fun, and it's only $10. Like, I can't say enough good things about it because it's $10 freaking dollars. Besides that, oh, geez, I did play something else. Oh, yeah, Smash Bros. Stuff. Smash Bros. Smashing people in the face, all around everything. Went by Chris's, played it on... When was it, Sunday, Chris?
Yeah, it was on Sunday.
Yeah, we were fighting against each other, and I gotta say, wirelessly, I haven't played anything that smooth before. Person versus person. We played all 4, slots filled up, and it ran like a dream. I gotta say, I was very impressed by the multiplayer. And, there wasn't too much going on with, the characters or the play styles or anything. You couldn't really do anything like that. It was a timed 2-minute brawl between, I think you had your choice of 5 characters, and it was just a lot of fun. And like I said, it worked so well. Like, it was so smooth. And I'm always very, very cautious about a wireless connectivity with this stuff because when the original DS came out and they had their few games that played that way, and the stuff on the PSP, it always played like crap. Nothing played well. And I mean, this is the first game, I guess, on the 3DS that I'm, really excited for playing with other people, even locally. And the fact that it works so well really got me excited for this game coming out in a few weeks. Besides that, that's really all I've been playing. But I recommend Speedrunners to anyone. That game is so cool, and you guys should play it and play us online, or play me online at least. You can find me, Vestlord, up in this piece.
I totally agree with you on the Smash Brothers demo that it's really remarkable. They went through great pains to make this game function the way it does. Sakurai in particular was very meticulous about making sure that this game runs at a consistent 60 frames per second while you're playing it. To the extent of, he showed off this video at one point where the characters will always move at 60 frames per second, and in order to help save processing speed, the background will slow down, but the characters won't. So the background will actually cut down to 30, maybe even 25 frames per second, but the characters will consistently stay at 60, just in order to keep the fighting precise, which I thought was remarkable. But probably my favorite thing about this demo was that one of the playable characters was Mega Man. And the love that they gave to this character is just astonishing. It's really like a modernization of Mega Man's 8-bit sprite. This takes most of its inspiration from Mega Man 1 through 6, although there is pieces of Mega Man 7 in there as well, with the slash attack from Slash Man stage in Mega Man 7. But his movements and everything he is based on directly the NES 8-bit Mega Man sprite. So when he runs in that exact manner. He jumps, he throws his arms up in that exact position. When he shoots while he's running, he curls his arm underneath him, just like he does in the sprite. The sounds are perfect. The moves are just so well put together and made with so much love to this character. And I find it hilarious because it kind of puts the way Mega Man played in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 to shame. And that was a Capcom-produced game. Like, this was their character. And Sakurai is actually showing more respect to where it came from and a more creative way to use him as a fighting game character because he plays like Mega Man. And that's the part that's really interesting because when you think of Mega Man and Smash Brothers, you kind of think of Mega Man and Mega Man X, where he's not Mega Man X, Marvel vs. Capcom, where he's throwing punches and all that other stuff, and he doesn't do that much in this game. His standing regular attack, which for every other character is a punch, is just him shooting the little pea shooter, and you can only shoot 3 at a time. Just like in the games, his forward smash is him charging up the pea shooter, and his down smash is the flame attack from Flame Man from Mega Man 6, and all of his moves are moves that he has had in prior games, including an actual punch, which is a reference to his punch in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is hilarious. But yeah, that demo is really phenomenal, and much like Dean, I'm very excited to play that game. But moving on, Tiff, what have you been up to?
Well, I'm going to buck tradition a little bit this week because I haven't actually been playing anything, because I also have been out of town all week, except I've also had children. So what I would actually like to talk about is my love of Let's Plays, because when I'm not in a situation where I can play video games or I only have a few minutes here and there, I've actually been getting a lot of online joy out of Let's Plays. And one of my very favorite ones is Hankgames with Hank Green and John Green. And Hank actually just launched a new channel this week. We're going to be putting a new thing up every single day, and his first ones that he's been putting up are with Oculus Rift, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
Oh, fascinating.
Have you ever seen the Markiplier ones that he's done with the Oculus Rift?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they're really cool.
No, I just started searching because I thought that it would be kind of dumb to watch somebody else do a VR, but it's really been kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what type Hank does, but Markiplier just does scary ones most of the time. So it's fun to like be there with him, kind of like, oh man, there's something around the corner, and he's like, oh man, something's around the corner, and you're both saying it in your chair, like I'm rocking back and forth. Markiplier's freaking the fuck out, and I'm like, yep, yeah, this works. This is good. Yes.
Yeah, I usually love watching the horror ones. I could spend hours watching people play Slender Man because that just cracks me up. But yes, this first game that he's playing right now is Affliction, I think it's called. That sounds a little too Ed Hardy.
I don't know. That does sound very Ed Hardy, though.
But it's like 5 different stages, and the different stages are different like horror scenarios. Like the first time there's a manor that you have to go through and you try and get out of with lots of scary things. And
I think I've heard of this game.
Growth. Yeah, and then like one of them is an asylum and like different things like that. And he's got the camera on himself, and then he's obviously got the feed going through for the Let's Play. And it's awesome. I mean, especially as somebody that, like we discussed last week, I grew up sitting on the couch next to people playing video games. Let's Plays are working out really well for me.
Yeah, I tend to watch Let's Plays from time to time, actually, when I'm trying to fall asleep. I love watching speedruns or just run-throughs of old games. It puts a smile on my face.
It's good times, and it's less frustrating because they edit over the times that they die repeatedly like I do myself. And so, I don't have to deal with that kind of frustration of it taking an hour to get through a level.
All right, very cool. Well, I guess I'll round out the segment, and like Dean mentioned before, I had a few people over to play the Smash Brothers demo. And that was super fun. I love the Smash Brothers demo, but we also played a couple of the competition carts I got in the mail, including the 1990 Nintendo Championships. We all sat around and played that. We played the Donkey Kong Country Blockbuster competition cart, which I also got from RetroUSB.com, which is super cool. It was a lot of fun. But what we spent more time during the night doing than I thought we would was we busted out Mega Man: The Wily Wars for Sega Genesis, and we beat Mega Man 2. For anybody who doesn't know, Mega Man: The Wily Wars was it was kind of like Super Mario All-Stars for Mega Man 1, 2, and 3, which was it's a 16-bit remake of the original 3 Mega Man games on the Sega Genesis, which is incredibly strange hearing these like iconic Mega Man tunes coming out of a Sega Genesis because the sound chip is so different from the NES. But it's a really interesting experience. And last year for my birthday, my wife bought me a repro cart because the Wily Wars, it never actually came out here in America outside of the Sega channel. So there was never a real cartridge of it made. It was just if you were happened to be lucky enough to have the Sega channel back then, you could download it and play through this really awesome game. But yeah, we beat Mega Man 2 in that game, and it just came to a certain point where we were playing Mega Man 2 and everybody was giving up, And then I just kept the controller for a while, and everyone was going to leave, and they're like, "Nah, you're close to the end. Let's stick around." And everybody stuck around till the end, and that was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
But can I mention something real quick?
absolutely.
The slowdowns. Fuck them. Fuck those slowdowns.
This is a very strange thing about this game. The Sega Genesis was known for its fast processor. You got stuff like Sonic the Hedgehog moving lightning fast. Their whole blast processing campaign was because the Genesis had a super fast processor. And for some reason, this game features so much slowdown. It's ridiculous. It features more slowdown than the NES games. It's so strange. This game is such an anomaly. And I'm so happy that I have it and I can play through it on the system it was intended for. But, speaking of Let's Plays, watch a Let's Play of it or find a repro card of this somewhere and play through it yourself. If you're a Mega Man fan, you really should. It's actually got a couple of unique levels at the end of it. After you beat Mega Man 1, 2, and 3, you move on to Wily Tower, where there's a handful of new bosses just for this game. It's such a strange game because it's not just like Ninja Gaiden Trilogy on Super NES was exactly, they just took the NES ROM and added more colors and more shades and actually made a lot of things worse. This game, they redrew nearly everything. It was a very lovingly crafted remake, but because of this, kind of similar to the way in Super Mario All-Star, Super Mario 3 plays incredibly close to its source material because they just added more colors to the existing sprites for the most part. Super Mario Brothers 1, they couldn't really do that because of the blocky nature of the character art. So they redrew all of the sprites, and as a result, Mario 1 plays legitimately different than the NES version of Mario 1. And that's the case for all three of these Mega Man games. They straight up play differently. Mega Man's controls aren't as loose in Mega Man 1 and 2. You can't shoot as fast. Your bullets move slower. Little things like that. It's such a bizarre and unique experience, and I heartily recommend it. It's super fun and a really interesting piece of Capcom history. The other thing I've been playing this week, played through actually, because I've been sick, I've had a lot of time to just sit on my ass and play some games. So I've made significant progress in Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. And I do like this game quite a bit. I don't know if I like it as much as the fanfare around it seemed to be. I think it's a fantastic game, but I'm going to reserve my final judgment until I'm finished with the game. I think I have about 2 dungeons left until it's all over. So I'll talk about that more later. But the other one I really wanted to mention was a game called Mighty Gunvolt. I can't remember if somebody else brought this up on the show. Dean, did you?
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned it very, very, very briefly. But yeah, there's a few ways to actually get it without paying for it. What it was is if you if you backed Mighty Number 9, they kind of threw you a bone and they gave you Mighty Gunvolt, which features their main character for Mighty Number 9, Beck. The other way to get it was, do you remember the name of the game that you got if you reserved it, Chris?
Well, it's actually Azure Striker Gunvolt.
Thank you.
If you had picked up Azure Striker Gunvolt, there was a way to get the game as a free download. Azure Striker Gunvolt was kind of a side project that came out of Mighty Number 9, let me back up a second. Mighty Number 9 is Keiji Inafune's new project that's basically like, well, Capcom's not making a Mega Man game, so I'm going to make a new franchise that kind of carries on the spirit of where I think an evolved Mega Man series would go. And it looks extraordinarily interesting. But after they had announced this game and had been working on it for a while, Indie Creates, as well as Keiji Inafune, had been also working on a second Mega Man style game called Azure Striker Gunvolt, which also features a blue character that shoots things, which is yay Mega Man. And I haven't even
he's
touched.
Staying in his wheelhouse, man.
He is. He knows what he can do, and he's going to do it right.
And he's damn good at it.
He is damn good at it. Mega Man 9 and 10, I thought were really, really fantastic games. With Azure Striker Gunvolt, it almost reminds me of Mega Man 0 to an extent, but I haven't really touched that one because this other free download, Mighty Gunvolt, I just had to play through that one first because it kind of works as a prologue to the game. It's an 8-bit style demake almost of Azure Striker Gunvolt, and it's really fun. It's very simplistic and incredibly short. So I'm glad I didn't pay for it because it is really, really short. I beat it in no time flat. It's got really cute music. You can Dean said, you can play as Beck from Mighty Number Nine, which is very cool. And you just kind of run around and shoot things in a very Mega Man style game. It's an odd experience. It kind of reminds me of Dark Void Zero, which was several years ago for Xbox and was it Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. There was a game from Capcom called Dark Void, which was you're some dude with a jetpack and flew around, and they made a demake for DSiWare of all things called Dark Void Zero, which was a 2D platformer starring that character, and this reminds me a lot of that. And while it is intensely short, it's totally worth a playthrough. If you can manage to get this game for free, which, I mean, if you're going to get Azure Striker Gunvolt anyway, it's definitely worth giving this one a try. A fun little piece of it is the attention they paid to the way that the words are written on the screen. There's intentional bad translation in it. To kind of make it match those old games. So I wish I could think of a good example of it, but the just read the prologue. It's hilarious because there's all these misspelled words and broken English throughout it. It's obviously very intentional, and I think it's hilarious and a very nice touch. But yeah, that's the bulk of what I've been playing this week. I do have one more quick thing to mention, is that I did wind up getting the Nintendo Campus Challenge 1991 cart, which was the kind of sort of sequel to the Nintendo World Championships 1990. This is particularly interesting because while the NWC card is kind of this legendary holy grail of game collecting, because there's only, I think, 20 or so of them known to exist, the 1991 Campus Challenge cartridge, there is only one known copy in existence, which is fascinating. It was found at a yard sale in upstate New York, I think, and has gone on to sell. It's changed hands with a handful of like really high level collectors for tens of thousands of dollars. It's remarkable. But Retro USB was able to get their hands on the cart and rip it and then make reproduction cartridges, which obviously look nothing like the original cartridge. But this tournament, instead of doing a World Championships, kind of like the end of the Wizard, like they did for the NWC cart, this one they did for 2 years, traveled around to college campuses and had tournaments there using this cart, which is remarkably similar to the NWC cart, but it uses 3 different games, and you have to collect 25 coins in Super Mario 3. You have to reach a certain point total in Pinbot, and then you play Dr. Mario until time runs out. There was another cart after this, which is also just as legendary as far as like there's only 1 or 2 known copies in existence, and that would be the Campus Challenge 1992, which was the last one of the campus challenges that they did. And that was a Super NES cartridge, which Retro USB also makes a repro cart of. They've been temporarily out of stock, near as I can tell, for the last couple of years. So I've never been, had the opportunity to buy one. But as soon as one pops up, man, I'm totally going to buy it because these guys make a very quality product. And it's so much fun to play this bizarre piece of Nintendo history. All right, so that's going to wrap up the opening segment. We're going to take a quick break, get ourselves some drinks and chat for a few minutes. And then when we come back, we're going to read some listener mail. So stick around. Back, everybody, and we're gonna enjoy some listener mail. So Tiff, why don't you read the first question?
I certainly will. Evan asks, at what point does a game become retro? Is it a sliding scale or a specific date? So I'm going to answer this one first because I got to read it. So I'm going to go ahead and say sliding scale, and obviously that's going to kind of differ for everyone. I know a lot of people think that retro game only counts on something that's 8-bit or something from before they were born, or I don't even know what. But I honestly kind of feel it's a sliding scale that fits to like maybe 2 generations back. Because when I think of retro games and classic games, I think all the way up to things like Psychonauts. I mean, I definitely don't just stop at 2D or 64-bit or before discs, anything like that. I feel like anything that is markedly different from whatever the current generation is. I mean, like at this point, I don't feel like we're too far off from Grand Theft Auto and things like that being classic or retro games.
Well, I believe there is a set of them that are pretty retro.
Well, yeah, the original GTA 1 and 2 in London, but I mean, even GTA 3. Because, all right, that's an interesting point to make because some people consider Dreamcast retro gaming, whereas PlayStation 2 almost feels more contemporary, but Dreamcast and PlayStation 2 were contemporaries. You know, that was the same generation of gaming. So, yeah, I would definitely have to go with sliding scale on that one because while I consider retro gaming, typically refers to stuff like 2D platformers, something with sprite based as opposed to polygon based. But when I think about it more and more, specifically from the PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64 era, PS1, Saturn, and N64, that stuff is retro. There's no question about it. Those games, they can't pass for modern. Whereas I think a lot of Dreamcast, PS2, and Xbox games, even something like Psychonauts, could pass for a modern game, even though it's not in HD.
It's awfully polygony.
It is awfully polygony, but and again, it kind of depends on the game because if you look at something like, for example, even to an extent Psychonauts, but Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker for GameCube, I think that holds up very well. But then you look at something on the same scale of like, Metal Gear Solid 2 is still one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 2, even though it's one of the earliest. But, other games on the platform don't necessarily hold up as well. And I guess where do you make that distinction as far as what makes it retro? Is it specifically its age or is it a type of game?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from because there's some situations where it's more of a feel than an actual age because there are plenty of games that are coming out currently that have a very retro feel, have a very classic feel, and I think that counts. I think that retro is not so much a dating system such as a genre.
Yeah, or maybe even less a genre and more a descriptor. Like I was talking earlier about Mighty Gunvolt, that's a retro game. Even though it's brand spanking new, it looks and plays like a retro game. Even we spoke about it on the show a bunch of times. Shovel Knight, that's totally a retro game, but it uses modern technology to kind of update what a retro game could do, but without losing the feel of a retro game. So even though it's brand new, it's
right. Well, and then you have all kinds of things like DuckTales and Castle of Illusion and that kind of stuff. Those are obviously still classic games. They're retro games, whatever you want to call them, but also totally updated and totally modern. And
yeah, I think really where the question comes in is, like you said, Chris, is retro a date that we put on things, or is it a descriptor now? Because like I would consider retro gaming, I think for me the time of when a game becomes retro is really based on when people stop buying games for you, if that makes any sort of sense. Like retro games to me are Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and PlayStation games because I got those for birthday presents and I got those as Christmas presents. And when I started having my grown man job with my grown man money, I bought my own stuff. And that no longer seems retro to me. So I kind of have a hard time looking at the PlayStation 2 and saying that is a retro gaming console, even though kind of technically we're at the point now where, like Grand Theft Auto 3 is kind of a retro game at this point, so I think that's part of it. But I do also think that when you have these things, Shovel Knight coming out, Mighty Number 9, coming out relatively soon, Guacamelee, things like that. These games come out and have this kind of retro feel. They're just going for that classic idea of what a game used to be versus the playable movies that they have become.
Okay, but see, the thing is I think it's going to get harder and harder to draw this retro line, because when you were going from Nintendo, which was pretty much 8-bit, and then you went to 16-bit, and the jump was pretty big between what a Nintendo could do and what a Super Nintendo could do, or even what a Genesis could do at that point. Then you went from that to the PlayStation era, and the jump was huge. You went from sprite-based stuff to polygons, and that blew everyone's fucking mind away. Like, literally melted minds. My mind was soup at that point. Still is soup. But then you go to the PlayStation 1 to PS2. Still polygons, but that polygons are what we're doing now. That's just, there's more of them, so things don't look so angular, they become smooth. Then we go from PlayStation 2 to what is it, Xbox 360? Was that the correct jump?
360 was out like a year before PS3.
Okay, all right, cool. So we make that jump. Now, while it does look better, is it the jump that PS1 to PS2 was? I don't know. And now going from 360 to Xbox One or PS3 to PS4, I'm having that trouble where it looks better, sure. Can I put my finger on why anymore? Not really. It's getting to the point where it's getting almost indistinguishable about what graphically is better about it. You can throw specs at me all you want, but throwing visuals at me gets to a point where it looks good, but it did last generation too. And I feel like we're gonna hit this mark where retro, like a system can come out 3 generations ago, but it still look good enough where I don't think it's gonna be qualified as retro, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I almost kind of want to look at it like maybe from a comics perspective, maybe something like Golden Age, Silver Age kind of stuff, because you retro comics, old school comics were written differently. They don't write with that kind of a sensibility anymore.
Right.
And it's almost that way with games. But what was interesting about the way you were saying things with you started off with sprites, then you moved on to polygons. As those systems became more powerful, this recent resurgence of what you can do with 2D games is very interesting, because you can look at something like, all right, Donkey Kong Country is a retro game at this point, but Donkey Kong Country Returns is not a retro game, even though it is so similar to it in its construction. It's so much more modern in the way it was made and has all these modern sensibilities to it.
You also have to look at things like, I went to a grocery store probably 6 months ago, and the kid that was ringing me up behind the counter was probably either a senior in high school or maybe like a freshman in college. And I was wearing a t-shirt with the Konami code on it. And as I'm like ringing up my groceries and whatnot, he's like, "That's a really cool shirt. What does that mean?" And I looked down and I was like, "It's the Konami code." And he goes, "Oh, okay. What's that?" I went, "Oh, it's a video game thing." And he goes, "Oh, well, I've never heard of that, and I'm super into video games." And I was like,
No, you're not.
"Okay, I don't know how to answer this." And
it very quickly turned into a conversation of this guy being a bad nerd.
Well, I was just like, it's maybe you're a little too young for it or something, but like my mind was blown. And he's like, "No, I play all the classic games, and like I'm a super big gamer and all this." And I was like, "Is this real life?" Like,
obviously
like people that are legally having jobs at this point are not aware of the Konami code.
Yeah, that is.
Well,
So,
yeah, I mean,
like these are retro games to us because we are all of a certain age, but it's like when we were little and I used to listen to the oldie station with my mom, and it was the hits of the 60s, 70s, and today. Well, now you listen to the oldie station and Britney Spears is on it. You're like, "Whoa, wait, what?"
Yeah,
And
Friends is
so
on
now
Nick at Night.
it's the hits of the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today.
To be fair,
Like the 90s is on the oldie station. So I think it really just depends on the kind of group that you're really talking to.
I gotcha. Well,
I don't know.
right.
I think we should pick a date though.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like-
let's put a cap on this question. Can we all agree on a specific generation, date, or some sort of dividing line?
I would say
where-
anything before PS2.
PS2
Yeah.
and back. See, I would say if a game has been out, if you can count backwards like 247 Saturdays after a game comes out, it's officially retro.
247 Saturdays isn't a lot of Saturdays, though.
Yeah, but
In the
247
great-
Saturdays is like 10 years.
that-
If you could rent it from a video game rental store.
Well, see, but,
Okay, there we
but-
go.
but now Redbox,
If
does
you're
that count?
no,
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 rental
Redbox doesn't
store,
count.
brick and mortar, and not Blockbuster either. It's got to be
here's
an
the answer.
independently owned rental
Mom
store.
and pop shop.
if the trade-in value at GameStop is less than $1, you're retro.
No, that
And
can't
then
count
last year's
because
Madden is
Madden's
the
gonna be
retro
all retro. All right, I'll tell you what.
But that's valid because obviously it's not in rapid enough rotation that it's retro now. It's not currently being played.
Well, and Madden counts because it's been the same fucking game for 25 years.
All right, but all right, now we're opening up a whole new fucking can of worms. Let's throw Madden out of this because I feel like Madden's a very, very bad
Example.
Thank you.
Announcer.
Example.
Okay,
Brett
I have a better
Favre.
one. If you put a video game in and you say, "Oh, look how weird this looks on this awesome TV," then it's retro.
Yeah, if it doesn't display properly on an HD
Yeah.
TV, then it's retro.
That's not
I
bad.
think that could be a very good one.
That's not bad.
Yeah, if it doesn't display on an HD TV, then it's retro. Can we all agree on that?
I think we can agree
And
on
I
that
win
for
the
now.
podcast again.
Yay!
Yay!
All right, let's move on to the next question. Dan.
Mauricio writes, has an NES game ever made you so mad with difficulty that you gave up on it entirely? I remember renting Silver Surfer as a kid, played it for 30 minutes, and never touched it till I returned it 3 days later. Yeah, I think from looking back at the NES games, there are a ton of games just from bad game design where the game didn't tell you what to do. That games were incredibly frustrating. Silver Surfer is a phenomenal example. That game is fucking impossible. You can't. You just can't. There is no way to get through that game. I don't think that there's a second level. I don't think the game designers programmed anything beyond the first, because nobody has gotten past it in the history of ever. Battletoads is definitely one of those games that, like, before rage quitting was a thing that we made videos for on the internet, Battletoads had little kids rage quitting back in the 80s because you would get to that goddamn hover bike section and pull your game out of your system and wing it across the room. To bring up an old favorite of this podcast, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. I have rage quit that game many times because, like, just back then it didn't matter. People didn't know what great game design was. We were working to get to that point where we could go, no, this is a bit shit, don't play it, versus this game is a very well crafted experience. So I'm sure there are a ton of others that you guys are about to bring up, but Battletoads, that game frustrated the hell out of me. I don't know anybody, probably except for you, Chris, that can get through that without a Game Genie. And the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles just drove me batshit crazy.
I can finish Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I cannot finish Battletoads. I can get very far in that game, but I can't finish it. Let's see. For me, I very rarely give up on games for difficulty because I get so angry at them, I won't let them win. Be like, no, fuck you. You're not going to beat me, game. Not a chance. I don't give a shit. You're not going to win. The only games that have ever defeated me, like just straight up defeated me as in I will not go back to them and finish them, I refuse. First off is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And that's not so much out of difficulty as bewilderment, because this game is kind of legendary because of the angry video game nerd, which made me feel so vilified because I was getting to the point where I thought I had imagined this game. Because it's so absurd. My experience with the game is I turned it on. I went to my friend Adam's house. We turn on this game. and a creepy little hand comes up, and it's playing music from Rygar. It's straight up lifted out of Rygar. You start playing the game, you have a stick that does nothing. Everybody in this town is beating you up for no discernible reason. Then all of a sudden, you turn into a monster, the screen flips, you're going to the left, you can shoot a fireball that shoots all over the screen, then lightning strikes me, and I'm dead. Game over. That's the end of it. And me and Adam look at each other and like, what the hell just happened? And that was it. That was the entirety of it. We were just like, nope, no, nope, absolutely not. Never touching this shit again. No, absolutely no. The game that defeated me, and this has also defeated several of my friends. Back in the day, we mentioned rental stores. You used to rent games, and that was your game for the weekend because your parents couldn't always afford to buy you games. So you'd go to the rental store, you'd get yourself a game, and that would be your weekend. Well, I came to this party a bit late because my friends had been renting Cliffhanger for Sega Genesis. And I never gave the game much thought because I didn't give a shit about the movie or whatever, and I never really played it with them until later. This was way past college. We were living in this house called the Hall of Justice. Dan, you had been there a couple of times. So Sean brings this game to my attention. It says Cliffhanger for Sega Genesis. This is the game that we've never been able to get through it, and I just found it again. And we're gonna hunker down. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna beat this game, and I want you in on it because you're the game guy. It's like, okay. Let's do this thing. So we're playing Cliffhanger for Sega Genesis for far more hours than anybody has any want to do. There's these avalanche sections where simple one-hit kills. Like if it goes into this automatic running stage where you're running and there's an avalanche behind you and you have to dodge this random ass pattern of rocks. And if you trip over a rock once, you're fucking dead. Over and over again. We finally get our way through this. Finally make it happen. We get to the last stage in the game with just about nothing left, and I shit you not, the last battle in this game is a fist fight with a helicopter.
But it's Sylvester Stallone.
He was Rocky. Beat up a helicopter with your fucking fists, and there's guys throwing knives at you. You have to fight all these fucking goons that are somehow on top of this mountain in the middle of nowhere, and this helicopter, and you gotta beat up those guys and the fucking helicopter, and we couldn't do it. We were fucking out. We tagged out. That was it for Cliffhanger, except we gave it one more shot. A year or so later, I tracked down what I assumed would be the most superior version of Cliffhanger, which was the Sega CD version. It was the most advanced technology to contain the Cliffhanger game. So we popped this sucker on, and it is almost the exact same game, except there's really grainy cutscenes, scenes from the movie spliced into the game, which is cute. Good for you, Sega CD. Full motion video. That's what I'm looking for.
FMV.
The other thing, and this, I need to find who did this. I want to find who made this game. I want to go to their house, and I want to do horrible things to them. Because the biggest pain in the ass of the game, besides the helicopter fist fight at the end, is the fucking avalanche levels. And the Sega CD version changed all the avalanche levels. So it's no longer side-scrolling. Now it's a behind-the-Stallone view, where you're riding on... You're riding on a fucking rock or something? I have no idea, but now you're snowboarding. Now you're snowboarding away from this fucking thing, and there's rocks everywhere, boulders as far as the eye can see, and they don't show up until they're about 4 inches from your fucking face. So you have no time to dodge these goddamn boulders that are flying at your face at 900 miles an hour while you're shooting down a mountain on some fucking snowboard. I guess he had shoved up his ass the whole time. I have no idea. But they changed them and made them harder. So the most superior version of the game is actually more difficult than this obscenely difficult game already. So I say, fuck you, Cliffhanger. That is the game that made me so mad, I've given up on it entirely. Cliffhanger. Fuck you.
If more games had behind the Stallone view, I think we would be in a better place as a society. Like, what level is this on the new Mario game? He put on the Stallone hat, and now it's the behind the Stallone view in Mario. Pretty awesome.
There's not a behind the Stallone view in Mario, because I think we should petition for that.
There really should. Like, puts on like some fucking stars and stripes trousers. Apollo Creed's just dead next to him. Fucking.
No, why can't he ride Apollo Creed? That would be better.
No, he gotta ride that fucking robot thing from like Rocky 2
Oh,
or 3
yeah!
when Rocky gets all the money. He just fucking rides that and fights Russians It's the weirdest Mario game ever.
It actually has nothing to do with Mario. We have no idea why we called it Mario.
That would be the fucking... What would the power-up look like? Like, when you hit the block, what would pop out? Like a golden boxing glove?
Nah, it has to be better than that.
A tooth with eyeballs.
It would be Adrian? That would be amazing.
No, what the fuck's the name of her fuck-up brother? Paulie?
Yeah,
Yeah, he should pop out. Yeah. Fucking waddle across.
Paulie pops up, throws a fucking liquor bottle at a Rocky pinball machine,
Mick.
And then you get the power-up?
No, Mick pops out and goes, "You're doing great, Rock."
And when you die, he pops up and he goes, "You fucking bum! I knew you never had it in ya."
Oh, there's levels where you're chasing a chicken in 3D.
Oh no, that's the fucking that's the headline.
When you get to prance around on the beach.
That's the headline on the back. 3D chicken chasing. Of course, yes. Why didn't we think of it before?
I'm just so you know, I'm picturing all this while he's riding a Yoshi.
Oh god, it's like Super Mario Philadelphia. That's the fucking best thing ever. God damn it.
Well, it looks like we just made a game, guys. I think we have a new Kickstarter coming out. Fuck Constant Squirrel, man.
Anybody else have any rage quits?
Oh.
Well, I can say personally that I have rage quitted every game that I've ever played. I will say though, it's not. It's a little cheating, but the worst it has ever been for me, and I'm somewhat ashamed to admit this, but I had a Game Gear. And I had Lion King for said Game Gear. And I don't have any idea if that game is any good or not, because my Simba never got to grow up because my Simba kept falling off of motherfucking giraffe heads.
There is absolutely no shame in that. The just can't wait to be king level in Lion King is so hard.
6 months to get past these goddamn giraffes. And I just never did. And I think it was so bad that I think that was in my relationship with the Game Gear entirely.
I love this story. I absolutely love this story, and I love when I get a chance to tell it. I listened to a podcast once where they were interviewing one of the director of the Lion King game, and he also directed several of the Disney games way back when. And those games were actually front loaded with difficulty on purpose. It was a directive from Disney that the beginning of the
Disney
game
hates kids?
Disney hated rentals. They thought that people would rent the games, beat it in a weekend, and then never buy it. So their idea was, let's make the beginning of the game so hard that you couldn't possibly beat it in a weekend. So then they'll rent the game, they'll like it enough to buy it, and they won't lose the sale to a rental, which I don't think fucking worked.
Yeah, because if you make the game so goddamn hard, people are just gonna put it down.
But that fucking I just can't wait to be King stage in Lion King. Oh my god, when I finally beat that stage, I felt elated. I felt like a superhero because it is one of the hardest things I've ever accomplished.
Okay, well I feel a lot better now that you've said that, because I was like, all right, this is it. I'm like 11 and my career in video games is over. Like
I can't even imagine it on the Game Gear. I mean, it was hard on the Super NES, but I mean, Jesus Christ, doing it on the Game Gear, I tip my non-existent hat to you.
I have one more that I just thought about while we've been talking about this. I think the game that may have pissed me off the most was Karate Champ in the arcade. Because you walk up to this game and there's like you're watching the demo video that's playing, and there's a karate guy in a white gi and a karate guy in a red gi, and you're like, all right, fucking sweet. It's the 80s. I'm going to do some kung fu shit. This is going to be badass. There's no buttons. There's 2 joysticks. That's cool. I'll make something happen. So you put your quarter in, and then you just get kicked in the face and the fucking round's over, because it's like an actual for real karate fight, and none of the moves made any goddamn sense. If you wanted to kick somebody, you had to hold like up on one stick and up right on the other stick, which when you're coming from playing regular Nintendo games and you see this thing in the arcade is an incredibly fucking obtuse control scheme. And like I put a quarter in, got kicked in the face twice and went, well, fuck this game. I guess I'm not playing this shit anymore. Just goddamn frustrating.
All right.
Sensing a lot of anger here.
I fucking hate that game. That game can go pound sand up its digital ass.
Well, on that note, Dean, why don't you read the next question?
Okay. So, Carlos Coral River writes, Top Gun. Fuck that game, right? Yes. Yes, Carlos. Fuck that game. Thank you for letting me say that. Fuck that game. In fact, I think this was the perfect person to give this fucking question to. Yes, fuck that game. Fuck it up the ass. Fuck it sideways. Fuck it straight.
But look at it this way. You've got a Top Gun game, and there's no beach volleyball section of that game.
No,
Are you
right.
fucking shitting me? What a missed opportunity.
How hard is it to fuck up? You get a plane in the air. You could have started the fucking game in the air and just fucking pew, 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 pew. Plane dies. That's the end of the level. That's all you got to do. But no, they didn't fucking do that. You got to fucking fly the plane off the goddamn ship. You got to fly it around. Then you got to fly back down the goddamn ship. Fuck the ship. We don't need the ship. Fuck it. I'm done.
Oh, my sister and I used to play the shit out of that game. I mean, I love the 8-bit version of the Top Gun theme, which is great. That plays over the intro, but Top Gun and Top Gun 2: The Second Mission, my sister and I used to play the crap out of those games. We got really good at them. Like, we were able to take off and land like no big deal.
Wait, is this theme what I think it is?
What?
Danger Zone.
Yes! Fucking Loggins, man. Fucking Kenny Loggins. Oh, that's such a good song.
It's
Oh,
not
I
an
love
8-bit
it.
version of Danger Zone. No, it's
Oh!
it's like this. I'm pretty sure it was in the movie. It was like the score theme kind of thing. The I don't know how to describe it. It's a Top Gun thing.
Take My Breath Away by Berlin.
Honestly,
that's
I don't
quality,
know.
like 80s movie power ballad.
I don't know. It does sound. It's not fast. It's very slow. So maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know enough about the Top Gun soundtrack.
Keep talking about this, and you're gonna make me sing it, and none of us are gonna enjoy that.
Now you need to sing it.
No, it's not happening.
Dan.
What?
You sing it.
No.
Well, no, actually, I was going to ask if we could go play volleyball on the beach with sunglasses.
Absolutely.
Yes!
Okay, but only.
Because you know what, Iceman? I am dangerous.
All right, Goose. All right.
But after every serve, the proper way to play Top Gun volleyball is to turn towards the sun so that you can get maximum peck glistening, and check your watch in a very aggressive manner so that all of your rippliness ripples.
Oh, almost got a flying plane. Oh, God, yeah. Volleyball.
Anyways. All right, well, that was fun.
Fuck Tom Cruise.
All right, so last question of the night. Jackie Jimmy writes, is Turtles in Time for Super NES the best Turtles game ever?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm glad we agreed on that.
Sorry, yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk about there. I mean, Turtles in Time, Super NES, best Turtles game ever. Period. Done. End of conversation. And end of podcast. That's going to be it for our show. Thanks for everybody who wrote in. We do have a couple more questions that we didn't get a chance to get to tonight, but we'll do listener mail again sometime in the not too distant future. And you can send your listener mail to
geeklifesite@gmail.com. That's G33KLIFESITE@gmail.com. That's geeklifesite@gmail.com. Back to you in the studio, Chris.
Woo! All right, Dean.
I'm doing good today. I could do things.
Yeah. Yay, things. I love things. Okay.
Okay, everybody make sure you check out the Geek Life family over at thegeeklife.com. You can also get us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all kinds of stuff. We have a whole family of awesomeness for you. Go check it out.
Yes, you can also download our other podcasts. You can download the podcast straight from the site, or you can even get us through iTunes, either this show, Stone Age Gamer, or our comic book podcast, Paper Cuts. And anything you could do, if you would do us the hugest favor in the world, is go to iTunes, give us a rating, write us a review. That kind of stuff helps get our show out to more people. And the more people listen to the show, the more listener mail we'll get, and the more wonderful everything will be, including our lives and your lives. It will really bleed out into the entire world. Please, it's for our country. And with that, we're going to call it a night. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you in about a week. I was gonna read this next one, but we got another question, so I'm gonna read this one. Karen asks, my listener question is, what do I have to do to get Dean to wear a TARDIS dress?
Buy me a TARDIS dress.
I was gonna say, from what I know about Dean, not much.
I'm an easy person in more ways than one. So, yeah, you get me the dress, I'll wear it. I don't give a fuck.
Dean's a cheap date.
Yep. Small. Size small.
You don't want to come across like Dean.
Yeah, really.
Well, I was happy as a pig in shit when Chris edited out the whole Zatarans debacle.
Wait. Did you just say debacle?
Yeah, that was a fucking debacle, because I swear to God, if that was in there, I was going to feel so fucking bad.
It was a Travis Shamockery.
Yes.
So can we put that as a deep cut, like an Easter egg on the website now? You can find all of Dean's racism and bigotry over here.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, yeah, let me fucking do this. So, you guys can, shit. All right, let me try this again.
All right, we don't record on Saturdays anymore. Chris, don't get fucking sick ever again. God.
Wait, I got this. I fucking
Damn
got this. I got this. All right. So, you guys...
You want me to handle
God damn it. Fuck, I had it on that one. One more. You know what, Dan, why don't you do it? You blah, blah, blip, 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 blip.
You
turned into Pac-Man.
I heard that. Fucking Q*bert's coming next, and shit's coming off the rails in a big bad
Get
way.
on with it.
You can also check out some of our other podcasts. Fuck, no, that's not going to work. We don't have one. Chris,
this isn't working.
Chris, no, I need you to lead me into it. Hold my hand here. Ask me if we have anything else to plug.
Dan, do you have anything else to plug?
Yes, I do, Chris.
That was terrible already.
Good night.
I'm gonna one and done this.
Chris?
I'm gonna one and done. I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna fucking get it out of the way. We're gonna do fucking mayonnaise cannon it. I got it right now. Right now.
Listen.
Shit. I got it. Okay. So you guys can also check out all of our other podcasts that we only have one of, and fuck, I can't